We are now getting into conversation with our resident counselor, that is Simone Momplé, and this is the final edition. Oh no, what are we going to do for 2021? She will be heading out. She's taking a break. She's going on holiday to connect with family. Welcome, Simone.
Hi, Khanya. How are you
I'm
doing?
sulking.
It's been a good run.
I'm sulking. I mean, today we're talking about healthy communication, effective communication, honest communication, and that's me communicating to you. I am sulking. Are you hearing it? Are you receiving it?
I appreciate your honesty.
Oh man, Simone, it has been a great run, and I think it is quite befitting that we're talking about healthy communication as we're going to a wrap of the year where we'll be hopefully spending more time with family. We'll be visiting family that I haven't seen in a long time, and just connecting more with people that we are aware, and we perhaps start learning and unlearning bad habits when it comes to communication and start learning a healthier way, an effective way, and a way that works when it comes to communication. So, where do we start when we speak about healthy communication? Because a lot of people say communication, and they don't actually differentiate between, yes, you may communicate, but are you doing it in a healthy manner?
Absolutely. I think let's start with looking at the two forms of communication for now, which is like, I would say, your ingoing and your outgoing, right? So it's how are you receiving your communication, and then how are you giving communication? Those are the two things that I would look at, because we can often confuse the two and say, because I'm giving communication in a certain way, I expect it to be returned in a certain way. The saying about treat others how you want to be treated. Honestly, though, do you want to be treated the way that you treat others? If you really reflected on that. And I think, let's start with looking at how do we communicate with other people. So if there's something that you feel like you need to say, is it okay for you to say it now? Is it okay for you to be honest? Or are you just the type that would just say it when you feel like you need to say it, and it doesn't matter how the other person is receiving it or where they even are, mentally and emotionally to receive what you're saying? What type of communication do you give out? Are you honest, or do you just communicate in the same type of fashion and manner? Or do you notice that there are actually patterns? I think I really just want to ask questions to people so they can think about it. But do you really see a pattern in your different type of communication? Maybe even with specific people. Specific people, you say, okay, I always just laugh at their jokes and then they're not really funny. Why do I do that? Why do I feel I need to do that? Why am I so short with this person? I'm always just giving them one word answers and I don't actually want to communicate. Why am I doing that? So reflect on how you are giving out your communication to different people, and whether you think at this point it's effective, because effective communication means that something is being solved in a healthy way, and saying that, okay, there's a reason I need to say something to you, you need to receive it, and then there needs to be a solution. That's kind of how I see healthy communication happening. It's really pointless to give out something that you want to say and you want to express yourself in a specific way, but you don't care what the outcome is. You just want to say it and then move on. And then next time you say it again, but you didn't solve that problem. I always feel like communication needs to be that thing where you're solving a problem with the way that you are communicating something.
The voice there of Simone Momplé, our resident counselor. Today we are tackling the wellness issue about healthy communication with self and I guess with others. Now, Simone, you touched on something that is very important, that you said, it is incoming and outgoing, right? And
Yep.
about 2 weeks ago, I was in discussion with some friends about communication, and saying that there are people where everything that is said is taken as an attack on themselves, right? And so whether it is a joke, not a joke, but they take things personally. And I guess because I was on the topic at the time, I was saying, yeah, the person who had communicated something they were making a joke, but what they didn't realize is that they were communicating that the person they were in a relationship could not trust them or were not safe with them. So how
Mm.
much of communication, where do we draw the line of saying that now we're being hypersensitive and everything is a threat to us, as opposed to people are just communicate, they're communicating, and I know that I don't fall in that line, or those kind of situations. How does one equip themselves with realizing that no, 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 now I'm being oversensitive, there's no need for me to react in this way, or me saying this could be harmful to the next person and it's not actually a joke.
Mm. Yeah, I think it definitely ties into what we spoke about. I think it was last week or the week before, where, when we spoke about how you feel is your responsibility, in the same way that what is communicated to you is your responsibility. Even though you might think, oh no, but they said it this way. I don't like the way they talk to me. They always do this. We always pointing the finger at the person who's giving out that communication. But at the end of the day, we never ever know what somebody's intention is, true intention is. And the way that they say something might not be the way that they actually meant for you to receive it. So you might also feel that actually, why is my guard always up? I have a guard because I'm defending or protecting myself. I'm protecting myself against something. And maybe it's one or two people in your past who have spoken to you a specific way. And so now everybody else needs to sort of bear the brunt of that experience, because now you protected yourself from that experience, and the next person is not going to be the same. So they might make a joke and say something like, oh, you're just crazy, and you might take it as, but no, I don't agree with the term crazy, and I don't understand why you mentioned it, because it's got to do with mental health. And so in that moment, I think it's important to, in that moment, first recognize that, okay, I was a bit defensive here, and that maybe I did get my guard up, but how do I now approach this? And you can say to the person, look, personally, I feel this and this and this way about what you just said. I know it's not reflective of you, but okay, I know this sounds really deep. You don't always have to say it in such a way, but just let the person know, okay, that was a bit off for me. I hope that you can respect that. You don't have to say, don't ever talk to me like that, or don't say things like this to me when you're in my presence, because it really puts the other person on edge. I'm talking about more of the lighter forms of conversation. And I'm saying, like, if somebody says something to you in your space and you don't agree with it, you don't always have to mention it to that person specifically. You can call them aside. You can say, yes, I don't really like the way you talk about things like this. But I mean, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if that's the way the person communicates. I remember somebody saying to me once, I think we were all in a group and we were talking and joking, and somebody swore, and this person jumped up and said, don't ever swear in my presence. I don't like swearing. And so it was such a weird space that we now went into, because it was like, this person was expressing themselves that way. But now afterwards, she says, no, don't ever swear in my presence. And I get it. I understand it and I respect it. But then, a few days later, she was swearing. So it confuses you because it confuses you, because now I'm on edge because I must always watch what I say, but you are being a hypocrite with your own communication barrier. So why did you have to jump up and say it? Why couldn't you just let it slide? You know what I mean? And these are the things that actually build resentment, eh? These are the things you can start resenting somebody when you don't communicate something properly in a way that is respectful to both parties, if you know what I mean. So I think that's important to not build the resentment over a long time, because also you don't want to be honest with somebody. You don't want to tell them, look, I actually don't like this. You've done it over and over. Do you mind, cooling it down a bit? So don't let it build resentment, but be honest. But be gentle, not only with the other person, but yourself too.
The voice there of Simone Momplé, our resident counselor. We are talking all things healthy communication. Simone, thank you so much for holding the line. As we continue with our conversation about healthy communication, there's a book that I read, Simone, during in the initial stages of the hard lockdown last year. and I forgot the name of the author, but the book is called Nonviolent Communication. And wow,
Mm.
the revelations of that. And I think what you were alluding to is a lot what the book is based on, is that sometimes the information is not even about the person who's delivering it. It is a personal stunt that you are in a particular mood, or this is a space, or you are being triggered. And
Mm.
whether it's rightfully so or not is neither here nor there. But the fact is that you are, and then you start to retaliate when
Mm.
people, and it's not that people are speaking to you in any type of way, but for some reason, because of past experiences, it invokes something in you.
Yes, absolutely. And I think this is a perfect time for me to be a little bit more harsher to our listeners and not as gentle as I was throughout the year. And I'm going to say the next few things, and I can take it with a pinch of salt, but this is me communicating in a healthy way. I think it's important to really try to stop trying to convince other people of how you feel. You don't have to force others to feel what you want them to feel. So you don't have to be in that space where you're trying to over explain yourself and trying to let somebody else know how you feel, because that is going to drive you to a place of frustration. And if you really want to explain yourself, you have to make sure that the person is able and actively listening to you before you waste your breath, because there is no point in explaining yourself to the air. Okay. It's important to also nurture your energy, because you explaining yourself is only you're gonna find yourself in a more vulnerable space, and you allowing that person to control how you feel. You know, and also forcing your other people to feel what you want them to feel is so exhausting. And you might not even do it consciously. You might have this subconscious way of doing it. Just stop it. Who do you think that you are to have to get others to change who they are? What makes you so special that other people have to respond to you in a specific way? Where
Sure.
do we even do it? Do we even do it the same for others? Are we willing to bow down and do the same thing that we are expecting from somebody else?
Sure, that's a mouthful and a hard pill to swallow, Simone. Yeah. Because I mean, I want us to just go back a bit to that point that you're saying, that not only does over explaining yourself leave you in a more vulnerable situation, which means you then are effectively disempowering yourself, but overvaluing, I guess that's what it is, overvaluing oneself in the lives of other people, to the extent that people have to then fall in line all the time
Mm,
to
mm,
serve your feelings. Are you then considerate of other people? That is, yeah. That's a
absolutely.
lot.
Yeah, and the most effective way, if you're wondering how to communicate this with somebody else, is always when you are communicating, especially if there was a disagreement of some sort, always communicate with the I statements. Never communicate with the you did this, because you
Mm.
are now putting the blame on somebody else. And honestly, they don't have to listen to you, you know because why does somebody else have to listen to you, and you don't have to listen to anyone else?
Sure.
This is a process of check yourself, and you got to say, okay, I feel this way. You remember, your feelings are your responsibility. Nobody can make you feel anything. So you have to say, I feel this way, I got offended. And so that places you in a space of responsibility, and the other person cannot also attack you for anything. If they do, that shows their position, and where they also place their power. And it's very important what you said there, that value that you're talking about. We place so much value in how other people respond to us, and how we want them to respond to us, and we want them to praise us and feel good about us. But people are going to be different all the time. Somebody that likes you today will not like you tomorrow, and that's okay. You have to kind of just focus on checking yourself, and I want to say, be you in a world of them. That's just be who you are, but communicate effectively, with understanding and compassion for yourself and others.
Yeah, Simone, for the last show, your curveball of note, because I think it's there's such an oxymoron in this very statement, the last statement that you've made, because you're being you in a world of them, but you need to be able to communicate to them in a way that they are going to understand that might not necessarily work for the so that seems like lot, and it would probably require a lot of proactivity for oneself, self-awareness to engage with that.
Yeah.
Now, Simone, communication, whether it is verbal, it's non-verbal, it's just that's how we operate in the world, whether we're communicating with our environment, with other people, we're communicating with self. It is it's like a conveyor belt. It never really stops while you're
Yeah.
still alive. There's always communication, whether you're saying something or not. In the sure in the event that one has to communicate with someone, and I'm saying this because I listened to a clip earlier this morning that said, what people need to learn, especially in their 20s, is that they are only a star. And I guess this can be taken throughout life, in adulthood, is that you are only the lead, the star, and in your own movie, and not in everybody else's movie. So whatever you do, just you need to check yourself, because you are the
Yeah.
star in your movie and the next person's the star in their movie. Don't think that you're a star in other people's movies. But in the essence, because we do live, we are communal beings, we are social beings, and we do work or communicate or exist with other people. Can you just give us 2 tips, or maybe 3 tips, as we go into the festive season, of how to better communicate or check ourselves? The first one, I guess, is what you said: always speak in I. Always speak in
Yes.
I, so that you take accountability for what you're feeling and your part in the thing, and stop blaming other people. Is there another point that you can help us to be able to check ourselves, get ourselves back in line, and not constantly say that people are making us feel in a certain way?
Yes, I think in the same way, you are now being self-aware and you are placing yourself in this, position and saying, I feel, that's great. But then also asking questions to the other person and asking, I might not understand exactly, why you reacted that way, or, can you just explain to me why you think your response was what it was, or why do you think you always say that specific term to me? Why do you always do this? And I just want to know. It's not that you're attacking them, you got to ask in a really gentle way, but I think important to ask somebody how they communicate, to understand how they communicate, so that you can also have a better understanding of how that interaction will go going forward. So once you understand and you say, oh, I see, so maybe when it's early morning, you're not quite present and you feel that you're not quite awake, so this is how you want me to communicate. Okay, I'll be more subtle. Or if they're really excited, they'll say to you, can you be excited with me, or can you just, this is what I want you to do. It's also very helpful for the other person to say, this is what I want you to do. Now, it's not always that you have to go but to do what they say, but it's a communication thing of saying, I would like for you to do this with me, but if not, I understand, but this is just how I would like to experience this moment, kind of thing. I think, yeah, so once you both have that out on the table, then you can start putting the piece of the puzzle together and say, okay, give me some time to do this for you, or I'm not always going to be that present for you, so just be aware of that. And I might be going through something while you're going through something, and maybe that's the best time that we remove ourselves from each other. So all those things need to be really honest, because at the end of the day, you can just keep quiet. A lot of people say, no, I don't say anything, I just keep quiet. Now, who do you think is suffering if you just keep quiet? you're going to put yourself in a more vulnerable state. And that is when I said resentment comes in. You have resentment towards the other person, but you did not communicate
Sure.
effectively in that space. So,
Yeah. I mean, so that is actually quite powerful, Simone. So speak in the I, and check. I guess you have to check that I as well, because everything can't be you. Um,
yeah.
and then be aware that even though you are being true to the I of how you do things, but the other person, the next person, you must afford them their I as well. And I guess you have to find some sort of middle ground when it
Yeah.
comes to that. Wow, Simone, what a way to seal the year. Some parting shots before you take off and head out to enjoy your time with family, and hopefully you'll return safe and rejuvenated and revitalized and ready to give us more wellness when it comes to our mindset in the year of 2022.
Absolutely, and thank you so much for giving me the space to also, air my frustrations, I guess sometimes, and also my viewpoints. So I think important as you're going into this holiday space and off time, that you actually do take the off time, and every day just ask yourself, what can I do? What is something I can do today for my wellness? What is something I can learn about myself today? Check in with yourself as often as you can. Check with yourself, why am I feeling this way? What can I do to make myself just feel better? Even if it's just, okay, I should get up and stretch, I should get some water. Please just take care of yourself, especially as you're going into the season. And don't go with any expectations. We always go with expectations of, oh, I'm going to go see this one, or this is going to happen. Just leave all that expectations. It's a whole new month. It's a whole new, time of your life. You've never been in this space before. So definitely give yourself the space to just be you and discover more about yourself. Yeah. And thank you so much, Khanya, for having me this year.
Oh, thank you so much, Simone, for always taking the time out to join us on Wednesday. It's been absolutely incredible, enlightening, and just, opening, to the mind and to the soul to experience things and to listen to things, not only from a professional perspective. And I appreciate that about you, that you came through. And it's not just from a professional psychological route, but it is very personal and it's very practical. And the clarity of understanding that we're not going to get it right all the time, but at least it's every step trying to move in terms of communicating better, existing better, being careful with oneself, being gentle with oneself. And I always say, as you opened up earlier on, you said about, people treating people the way they want to be treated. I'm of the notion that you must treat people the way they want to be treated, because we are all different and our experiences are different and our thresholds and our understanding and perspectives are always different. I have one perspective because I'm in a particular way. The next person, no matter how close they are to me, even if they're standing where I'm standing, they will be on top of me or below me. We're not going to have the exact same perspective. So just realize that it's not always about you. Communicate where you are and how you feel, but ensure that you're allowing others the same grace that you would like to be given to you. So thank you so much, Simone, and I hope you have safe travels back home and enjoy your time with family.
Thank you, Khanya. You too.
That is how we wrap up our wellness feature with our resident counselor, Simone Momplé, the last edition of 2021.